Back home in Ghana, we have seen the government race against time to safeguard businesses from drowning in the seas of this pandemic. We have seen how supply chains have been cut, borders shut, and restrictions on movement so tight. We have also seen how Ghana and other countries in Africa have been left with no option but to grease the wheels of local manufacturing to meet local demand. I've come to meet the CEO of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, John Kuma. I'm interested in finding out what the government's entrepreneurial and innovative plan is in these uncertain times.
The good thing is that we are not sitting down. Government in one policy or the other, rolling out one interventions or the other with the hope that it will help improve the situation and relax the risk situation of the banks, so in terms of the assessment, so that they will be able to come down on the level of interest rate. And these things won't change unless we create the enabling environment for them to do so. And I'm saying that government is on course. So far, if you look at how things have even gone so far, I mean, just about 3 years ago, we were talking about 30 to 35% interest rate. It came down to about 25% interest rate. Now we are looking around 20, 21% interest rate. But the target is to come as low as maybe 10 to 15% interest rate. And I believe we'll get there if we keep the pace and show serious and consistency.
Already, the government has injected 1 billion cedis in a coronavirus alleviation program business support scheme. Kosi Yanke Aye is executive director of the MBSSI.
This fund is an emergency fund. And I keep giving this analogy. When your house is burning and someone comes, what you are looking for is, can you give me water so that we stop the fire? You don't say, please give me money to start rebuilding in the fire. And this fund is an emergency fund for us to say, can we stop the fire? Okay. And when you're saying, let's stop the fire, you put it out there and you brought it out and you've done, I think there's no intervention in Ghana that has been done on this level. And I think it's very clear, and I think we've underplayed it and really underestimated it. And I think we're looking at it in a totally different light. First of all, every district in this nation, someone applied. Every region applied. First of all, you also look at it. Ghana Statistical Services had data on what MSMEs look like. And you took that data, that gave you an analysis and gave you the numbers of what potentially the MSME landscape looked like. Then you realize, no, that's not what the landscape looks like. When you open a platform and you tell people and you give access across the nation, you realize that the numbers are different from what you're looking at, from what the world is saying and what you're seeing. Then you have another thing that comes up. You're looking at an informal sector that you've never seen before, which is bigger than we actually all think about, which is the economy. So people then say, give it to taxpayers. Which taxpayer? Because half the sector is an informal sector. Do you not give them support because they are informal? That is your mother, that is your grandmother. Those are your sisters. Those paid your school fees and made you who you are today. And you're now saying, please, where are the taxpayers? Let's give it to all the taxpayers. But you have 80% informal economy. Where do you start?
Disbursements have so far been made to businesses in all 16 regions of Ghana. The business sectors that have so far received loans include commerce and trade, dressmakers and tailors, agri and agro-processing, among many others. The plan behind this move is simple: sustain jobs in the informal sector, which accounts to over 80% of Ghana's economy. The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan never came at a better time, an era when innovation is all that economies need to fight the strain of the virus.
I think this government was responsive enough to quickly empower local companies to go into production of COVID PPEs. We know that many firms in Ghana were giving contracts to produce nose masks, hand sanitizers, so many other things. And I think that even though COVID is a misfortune to the world, it was also an opportunity for those of us here in Africa to rethink on our self-reliance and how we can also live without the outside world. And I think it brought home the consciousness, and it also affirmed His Excellency the President believed that we must industrialize more, we must produce more of what we produce here, what we need here. And of course, you can't do all this without innovation. We saw young people innovating various machines for not just Veronica Backers, but automated systems for people to be able to properly wash their hands to keep themselves from the COVID.
Others might feel that our response so far when it comes to the SME sector, the entrepreneurship drive, has been a knee-jerk reaction. There hasn't been an established national innovation plan that hitherto could have soaked in the pressures of COVID-19.
Well, I disagree with that position because since 2017, His Excellency set up the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, of which I'm privileged to be the CEO. And he set up a fund, not just the office, but we had a seed fund of $10 million, which we were to leverage to raise additional $100 million. So far, we have trained about 45,000 businesses across the country.
A sector untouched by the virus has been e-commerce and financial technology, also termed fintech.
The Obatampa COVID Cares program, we should be able to have a conversation with the ministry as fintech players and the central bank to see how we can position ourselves to attract some foreign investment directly into some of these fintech players in the system. Because at the end of the day, you need fintech players to do R&D, to innovate, to come up with products that can capture people, even within the informal sector, who are out of the tax net, right?
Hi, my name is Henry Kobler. I'm a computer engineer by profession, and I run a tech company called ISO Africa. I think that the tech industry is thriving. It's becoming better off in terms of how we bring in solutions into the market. I think that from our end, we've been successful at getting across some countries and even providing these solutions to people. Looking at the numbers, it's always getting on the rise, and we're excited about it. But I think that COVID coming in sort of just gives us a bit of distraction. And I think that for us, it's also a good thing for us to look at a brighter side of what we're doing, because it opens a lot of avenues for us to explore.
The COVID-19 pandemic keeps eating jobs away. About 85,000 businesses in Ghana are still closed down due to the coronavirus pandemic. This was featured in the COVID-19 Rapid Survey Business Tracker highlights by the Ghana Statistical Service. Over 115,000 businesses have either permanently or temporarily closed down across the country. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Aining.
Clearly, one of the major issues that led to closures of businesses was the partial lockdown in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi, and indeed some pockets of the central region. Once we had partial lockdown, what that meant was that businesses naturally in these areas had to close down. Indeed, they had to close down involuntarily.
The tracker also reveals that more than 45,000 workers have lost their jobs during the partial lockdown, with those in the accommodation and food sector badly hit. So far, more than 500,000 workers have also had their wages reduced.
The accommodation and food subsector recorded the highest trough in sales. So although our bars mask the effect of the accommodation and food subsector, indeed the accommodation and food subsector recorded the highest decline in sales to the tune of 57%.
Despite some respite granted businesses by government with the 600 million stimulus package, close to 131,000 businesses revealed that they still had challenges accessing finance, with over 60% calling for subsidized interest rates. Currently in Ghana, it is established that 2.1 million businesses are within the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, which account for about 90% of businesses in the country. If done right, Ghanaian entrepreneurs in a post-COVID era must have what it takes to flex their muscle on the global market. For now, much private-public partnership is needed to keep businesses afloat. I'm Charles Aite reporting for Joy Business.